Have you heard about the China insane anti-America campaign? Let's do it now.
Seriously. China is richer than the USA. China has no homeless people. Housing is cheaper in China compared with the USA. China's infrastructure and public transportation are the best in the world, and Chinese people are happier than Americans. Also, don't forget, China is the leader of environmental measures and green technology. Bullshit! The Chinese government is trying to fool you through paid propaganda, social media
Me? I'm living in China. They don't need to fool me.
campaigns targeting you.
Not me.
And judging by what I'm seeing, it's working. Let this be the definitive video that proves that China is far worse than the USA in nearly every single metric.
Everything single metric. Okay?
And let this be the video that you send to people that you know that are being tricked by China's multi-billion dollar propaganda campaign that
Multi-billion dollar, like a lot of billions.
was designed to change your mind, sow division in your country, and make you hate where you're from. The crux of China's campaign is to make you somehow think that you, as an American, and by the way, if you're not American, this also applies to you as well, you somehow have it worse.
No, it doesn't apply for other people because the other countries are not trying to trash China like you do all the time.
Off than a person in China. I
This guy's
kid
just sleeping there.
you not. This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN.
Nope.
What's a VPN? Well, it's a secure... Claim number one. China is richer than the USA.
First of all, who is claiming that? Because China doesn't do it. China says they are the second economy in the world. So everybody in the world who pays any attention of economy knows that China is not richer than the United States. Who's claiming that?
False!
It is false.
You've seen the propaganda, the videos that make China look decades in the future, you know, like China's 3,000 years ahead or whatever. The reality is that having
No,
rich
actually, here in China, we are in 2024. The rest of the world that is who's behind of.
in on a motorcycle through most of the country, most of China looks like this. Of course, China is a police state, an authoritarian country with no freedom of press, so they're not able to show you this. But
no.
the government...
There's tons of people traveling in China now after COVID-0, after China opened the doors. A lot of people showing China, but no, it's not possible to do it.
government in China crafts this idealistic image of what a utopia China is. But anyway, let me prove it.
Okay.
The average salary in China's richest, most prosperous, most important city is $25,000 per year.
Okay.
And cost of living ain't low either. In Washington, D.C., one of the richest cities in America, the capital of the country, it's $76,000 per year.
Okay.
But let's zoom out. How about the whole country in general? Well, the average salary in China is $16,000 per year. And in the USA, it's more than $70,000.
Okay, so let's do an exercise here. China, as I said before, never claimed that they are the richest country in the world. And another very important point is there's 1.4 billion people in China. That's a lot of people. So $16,000 in China can buy what? $17,000 in the United States can buy what? That's how we should think. What you can buy with this money? How can you live? Can you eat well? Can you travel? Can you go to school? College in China, for example, the best college in China, one of the best in the world, costs around 35,000 RMB per year. This will be what? $5,000 per year? Can you pay any college in the United States with $5,000 per year? So that's the question we should do. We should make. What can you buy with this money?
When you adjust for cost of living, the USA is still far richer than China. Don't even get me started on income inequality. This $16,000 a year statistic, that's put out by China's National Bureau of Statistics.
Oh, so can you trust the Chinese data?
and it's incredibly disingenuous. But in reality, young professionals in China in big cities are making closer to $3,300 per year, not per month. The official statistics already suck, but the reality...
I'm working in a factory in China. I'm an engineer. I've been living in China for 5 years, in Asia for almost 8 years. The operators, the guys who assemble washing machines in our factory, they make around $800, $900 per month. Per month. So I don't know in which data he got that people make $3,000 per year in big cities.
Is way suckier. By the way, the poverty threshold in the USA to be called impoverished or living in poverty is about $14,000 per year. And in China, communist China, remember communism, where the government's supposed to take care of the people, and socialism with Chinese characteristics and all that stuff.
No, actually in communism, there is no government. Communism is the last stage of socialism. There is no government at all.
The poverty threshold in China is, drumroll please, $339 per year, not even per month.
Yes, because China is an underdeveloped country. Still, because China, 75 years ago, was the 9th poorest country in the world. China in the 80s had the same GDP as Brazil. Meanwhile, the United States is being an imperialist colonizer country for over a century. So it's too easy for the United States to say, hey, we are very rich. When you're bombing, invading, and robbing other countries, including China. United States invaded China in 1898. So it's too easy when you're playing with other people's money, right?
Per year. China doesn't want you to know about this.
This is official data. How come China doesn't want you to know about this, but they are posting in the official website?
So they pay for Google search engine optimization. I've been seeing this run rampant. Look at this. There are fake websites that come up with completely false information as the first search result with the purpose of misguiding the public so that pro-CCP social media accounts...
How do you know this was paid by the government? It's a random website marketing to China. How do you know this was paid by Chinese government? Meanwhile, the Pentagon has over 27,000 employees just working with PR, public relations. Last year, the United States spent over $500 million in campaigns against China. Recently, some documents were released that the United States was running a campaign against China vaccine in Philippines.
Can use this as a statistic. This is unbelievable. They're saying that the average Chinese person's pulling in like $4,000 a month. I don't think so. In fact, when I try to click the source that they give, it goes nowhere. Guess what? It's made up, and it's the first result on Google. I call this statistic washing or stat washing. It's kind of like counterfeiting, but using statistics instead of money. Claim number 2, China has no homeless people. False!
Who claims that? Who claims that I'm leaving China and I saw homeless people? So who claims that?
In fact, we recently uncovered a massive propaganda campaign who incentivized people to make content showing how bad the homeless problem is in the USA and claiming that there were no homeless people in China. Well,
Wait. So if people in the United States go and make some videos showing homeless issues in the United States because they're paid for it, so what about you? You are supposedly uncovering issues in China, but you're not paid for it, right? Right?
Here. Examine for yourself. Done. Disproven. For real though, this couldn't be for...
He shows a video of a random girl. We have no idea of the context. We don't know what was happening with that girl. Proved. These people sleeping there, yes, they look like they are homeless. But again, who claimed that there's no homeless in China?
From the truth. I saw lots of homeless people in China consistently throughout the entire country, and it's absolutely absurd to claim that there are none. There are no social programs in China. It's not
That's not true. There's a lot of social programs in China.
Socialist country. They don't take care of their people, and there's very little way in the way of welfare and benefits, and there are no rights for homeless people to even exist. Yet
there is no right for homeless people How insane is that this claim? How insane is that?
They still do. So the
Of course they
USA really does look like a socialist paradise compared to China. You go stand in a welfare line in America and see how much money you get versus what you'd get in China. 'Cause
Every homeless in the United States can make $400 per month. Everyone, in every state. That's how it works. I'm ignorant. I don't know. I used to live in Georgia. I stayed there for 6 months, but I don't know how this works. Is that true? Is that correct?
guess what? You'd be very, very disappointed if you were in China. Don't even get me started on the claims of how the Chinese healthcare system is better than the USA.
Jesus Christ, again, who claimed that? The United States is known to be the best healthcare system in the world, but it's crazy expensive. Like insanely expensive.
China, the country where you have to pay first before they let you into the emergency room or you die. And there's
That's
no
not true. There's a hospital here close to my house, like 10 minutes walking. I've been to the hospital many, many times, and that's not true at all.
soap in the bathrooms, and the place where you have to jockey for position and pray that the doctor knows what they're doing and you don't have to pay a bribe to them, because oftentimes you do.
I never paid any bribe. I'm here for 5 years, and I never heard anything like this. He lived in China for many, many years. I think he was doing a certain number of crimes in China, because these is crazy things this guy was doing.
An American friend of mine was misdiagnosed in China and had most of his stomach removed unnecessarily. He also got an $80,000 bill. It turns out when he got back to the USA, the doctors told him that it was unnecessary. I broke my knee in China and I visited a bone specialist, the best in the city, recommended by all. The bone doctor was smoking a cigarette and prescribed me antibiotics and some herb pills.
I guess he was not the best in the city at all, because I also had issues. A friend had issues. We went to doctors with orthopedists, and it was fine. X-rays, MRI, medicine, take rest the legs, no problem. I didn't break my knee, but they treated like Western medicine. So maybe you went to a veterinarian. I don't know.
U.S. healthcare system is broken. China's is far worse. Claim number 3. Housing is cheaper, and China's infrastructure and public transportation are the best in the world.
Again, who claimed that? I have no idea. Who are the crazy people claiming these kind of things? The public transportation in China, it is way better than the United States, because here we really have public transportation. In the US, they don't. When I was living in Georgia, I was in an area of the city, there was not even sidewalks. So if I wanted to walk, I had to walk on the road or over other people's lawns. Like, it was crazy. Insane. And of course, no buses. Or you have a car or you have a car. Otherwise, you cannot move.
Mostly false. Let's go to the capital again, shiny Beijing. If you want to live in downtown Beijing, the best, richest, most important city in China,
The best?
an apartment in downtown Beijing, which the government owns, by the way. You're not allowed to own your own property.
Same as Hong Kong, same as Philippines, same as Indonesia, same as many, many countries, man. Get over it. Like, get over it. Britain is the same. Get over it.
Just lease it for 70 years. You still have to pay $3 million for a 2,000 square foot family apartment. And you have to live in Beijing. This is in the capital of China. So let's look at the capital of the US. Again, let's go back to Washington, D.C. Here's a house in a fantastic area of the capital, in a fantastic school district, in a low crime area, with a house that you actually...
Low crime area. It's so funny. Why he didn't mention this in Beijing? Because we don't have this kind of things in China, maybe?
own, and you don't have to give back to the government 70 years, like in China, for $1.2 million. Yeah, that's really expensive, but it's less than half the price of the Beijing apartment. Oh, and unlike in Beijing, where you just bought your $3 million
Jesus Christ, man, get over it. We have 1.4 billion people in China. There's what, 350 million in the United States? Like, really?
box in the sky that you don't own. In Washington, D.C., you can actually breathe the air and drink the water. Housing in China.
This one I have to give him. There's the water thing. Yeah, the water in China is not okay to drink, but the air is totally fine.
China is an absolute joke. It's prohibitively expensive. When people I talk to in China that are like coming out of college, they're making like $280 a month. How the hell are they ever going to buy a house?
That's true.
Especially with the fact that there's no social safety nets, and now they have to take care of their parents too. Nah. Anyway, the infrastructure quality? Oh, we're seriously going to bring this one up?
Yes.
China's tofu dreg construction chaos that you've been seeing all over the internet. Literally buildings falling down everywhere. I visited
Everywhere.
multi-million-dollar mansions in China that were crumbling within a few years of construction. I visited countless unfinished ghost towns across the entire country with a capacity of hundreds of thousands of people that were just sitting there unfinished. Recently, China's biggest real estate developers have gone belly up, and millions of people in the country have been left to pay for unfinished housing projects that literally fall down sometimes.
Literally, someone doesn't know how literally works. So I've been to many houses in China. As I said, I've been living here for 5 years. I never seen that. So I don't know his name. His YouTube channel is Lao Wai. Lao Wai means foreigner in Chinese. Or if you live in the south of the United States, it means like gringo. I don't know his name. But I mean, I've been so many places here. So your experience is not a proof. You cannot just say, oh yeah, because I've been to some place in China, they look like, yeah, I've been to many places in China and they don't look like that. So what? So your experience doesn't really prove anything here. So this is not the ultimate video that proves those crazy claims that nobody knows who's coming from.
This isn't the envy of the world. This is America's 2008 financial and housing crisis on steroids.
2000 financial house crisis.
This high-speed rail system is something that they are absolutely obsessed
Yes,
with promoting.
yes.
The government's shooting out propaganda left and right about this, and I'll admit it. It's pretty cool to be able to traverse the country by rail so quickly. But not only has it been incredibly unprofitable and plunged China into debt,
Because it's not supposed to be profitable. It's supposed to serve the people. The idea is not to be profitable. I don't think you will ever understand this, but the whole point here is everyone has access to it. Every city, over 500,000 people in China has already a Gautier, the high-speed train station. You can go literally from Hong Kong to Tibet in high speed. Go from Hong Kong, change the train in Chengdu, and then from Chengdu go to Tibet. It's 50-something hours on high-speed train. It's amazing. It's very convenient.
many of the train lines go nowhere. And guess
Proof.
what?
Where's the proof? Where's the proof? You want to prove something? Where's the proof that those lines goes nowhere?
But despite all the propaganda that shows you how easy it is to get on board, this is what it looks like a lot of the time. This is me and my friend trying to get on the train.
Where?
I understand that not everyone in the USA
Man, you are in Guangzhou. It's wrote Guangzhou South there. So if we were in Guangzhou, Guangzhou has 15 million people. Of course, it's always full of people. In my city, it's not like this. Because my city is a small city. For in Chinese standards, we have like 4.5 million people. This is China. And the train is never like this. The train station is never full like that. So yeah, you were in Guangzhou, yeah, it will be like this. Depends on the day, yes.
wants to own a car and have to drive everywhere, but do you want this? Also, do you know why public transportation in China is cheap? It's because it's poor. Really poor.
Yes.
Like, people wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't cheap. Get out of the cities, and China looks more like this. Get out of the cities, and China looks like this. It's so poor that you wouldn't recognize the country because you've probably seen China's version of what reality is. They hide the poor.
They hide the poor.
And I've seen it, and I've lived it, and let me tell you, life
They hide it, but they didn't hide it well because he saw it, right?
sucks for China's 600 million rural people. This post here brags about how it only costs $20 to go to Jinan, which is a city in northern China. My rebuttal to this is, you still have to go to Jinan.
To do what? I've been to Shandong and it doesn't look like that.
Claim number 4.
Still
Chinese
have
people
more.
are happier than Americans. False.
Okay. Who claimed that Chinese people are happier? And based on what? How they measured happiness here? We need to understand how was this measurement. What did they consider?
China is not a happy country. It's hard. It's stressful. Life is bitter for most people. Whatever complaint you have in America, no offense, pales in comparison to what Chinese people have to go through. People can find happiness in life no matter where they are, okay? I get it. But I'm telling you, there is not a chance in hell that Chinese people are happier than the average American. In fact, data backs it up. According to the World Happiness Report, China is ranked 64th in terms of happiness in the world.
World Happiness Report, who made this report? And based on what? What did they ask? How did they measure that? How to measure happiness? How to compare happiness?
Well, the poor old crumbling USA that's already falling apart and is at the bottom of the world, right? Right? No, it's ranked 15th in the world. It's not even close. You can prove it in immigration data too. If life in China is so peachy and the US is so dismal, then why did millions of people leave China for the USA?
Why? Because United States is being pushing against China for over 200 years together with the British Empire, long time ago British Empire. And China is sending works abroad for centuries, literally centuries. And this started a long time ago. This 2.5 million Chinese population in the United States, they didn't start yesterday. They started over 40 years ago. It's not like they left everyone left last year. And another thing is, comparing proportionally, there is more American people in China than Chinese in the US, because again, the population here is huge. 2.4 million is like less than half of my city. And another thing, why so many people go to United States? Because United States was the richest country in the world. People go there to make money. This is changing.
Why did hundreds of thousands of Chinese people flee China and apply for asylum in America? Why did over 31,000 Chinese people illegally cross the border into the USA in 2023?
Because what's happening here? A lot of people, they grew up in China, facing a huge economy boom. Since 2003 to 2018, the salary is almost tripled. So imagine that you have a salary, 15 years later, your salary is 3 times higher. It was crazy. The economy was growing 15% per year. It was insane. Now the economy is growing like 6, 5, and they think this is bad. But just to compare, the United States is growing like 2%, and they say it's okay. But in China, somehow 5% is not good, because they are used to 10%, 12, 15. That's the point. So for many people, especially due to the COVID-0 situation that closed the country, a lot of people lost probably a lot of money. They want to try their lucky somewhere else. And that's why.
Did I miss the news report or something? Are Americans doing the same? Are millions of Americans running away and saying, I'm out of here, and running to China?
They are going to Vietnam because Vietnam has a universal healthcare system. It's for free for everyone.
Of course, I'm being facetious here. You know that they're not. Claim number 5. China's the leader in green environmental measures.
That's true.
False. And this
Let's
one
see how he will lie this time.
is just insulting. China is the most polluted place I have ever been in my entire life.
Have you been to all the countries in the world?
In some places, I would call it apocalyptic. Smokestacks belching flames, rivers and lakes of sludge, over 90% of the fresh water in China now unusable. It's gotten to a point where
When we shower, in the shower, we use water bottles, right? Unusable.
99.9% of the population has their health affected by air pollution.
China is not like that anymore. It used to be. And the main reason is all those countries like United States and Europe, they're moving their factories to China. So it's too easy for Europe and the United States today say, hey, we are not polluting anymore, but look at China. Yes, of course, because your factories are here now. Here in India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Pakistan. So it's too easy to point fingers to those countries after you moved all the factories here.
You can't get fresh air in
That's
China.
a lie.
Also,
That's a lie. That's a lie.
China emits more CO2
Yes.
than the developed world combined.
Of course, that's what I was saying, because all the factories are here. But the thing is, CO2 accumulates in the atmosphere. So if we check since the Industrial Revolution, how much United States and Europe have already polluted is way more than China, because that CO2 from 1800s is still here.
People can claim that because there's so many people in China that I guess per capita the CO2 emissions
Yes.
are lower, but the Earth doesn't care about per
Yes.
capita. If you believe in global warming and climate change, then it doesn't matter what one person put out. It matters
If you're
what
so worried about global warming and etc., the United States Army, the whole army, is the fourth biggest polluter in the world. Fourth. Besides the whole country of United States, the factories and etc., the army is fourth. So if you are so worried, why you don't poke them as well?
the whole global emissions are, right? The
Oh, by
USA
the way, China is the country that plants, I think, 3 times more trees than the rest of the world combined. China has more solar panel than everybody else. Solar panel energy than the rest of the world combined as well.
has reduced its emissions and kept its promise. China not only pollutes and emits most of the CO2 in the world, they're building new coal plants right now. Every single quarter, they add more and more coal burning plants. It's compounding.
As I said, if you don't move your factories here, China don't need to do that. 85% of American flags are made in China. All the propaganda material for United States presidential campaigns are made in China. Do it in the United States. Then you don't need to pollute in China.
All the while, they're telling everyone that they're leading the world in the fight against climate change and pollution. And somehow, people believe
Yes,
them.
because there's data behind that. Not just your, oh yeah, I visit China and I could not breathe.
That's
Trust me, bro.
obscene. TikTok and other short-form media videos have inspired this whole China's better and America is so behind campaign. You know, the whole USA is crumbling, China's the answer, the solution. It is absolutely absurd that people are even putting this out there. It's absurd that we have to watch Chinese propaganda on our own social media platforms.
Yeah, it's absurd that when Russia invaded Ukraine, the White House brought a lot of, summoned a lot of TikTokers, YouTubers, Instagrammers, and whatever to brief them what they should say about the war. That's absurd.
And it's absurd that you're being told that American people have it worse off than China and Chinese
who?
people have it better off than Americans.
Man, by who? Who claimed that? It's 15 minutes and you don't tell us who said these kind of things.
That's pretty unfair to Chinese people. China is constantly behind elaborate campaigns to disrupt, fray, and destroy the USA. In fact, it uses social media to do it. Social media campaigns from China create millions of
Who says that China is spending billions? The United States. But they're not really interested on this. They're not an interesting part on that, right?
fake accounts and pay influencers from around the world to spread conspiracies and promote the Chinese government's reputation and destroy unity in the USA. Anyway,
So the United States pays for the separatist movement in Tibet, in Xinjiang, in Hong Kong, and I'm talking only about China because they do that in many other countries. They did it in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, by the way. And then it's okay. But if China is paying for influencers to say good things about China, this is bad somehow. I don't really get this. Anyway, we finished the video here. We have no idea who claimed those kind of things. He's just a China hater.